Suresh Ganpati, Senior Banking Analyst with Macquarie Capital Securities to talk about implications of the banking bill. Suresh, morning. Thank you for joining us. Dissect the implications of the amendment in the banking bill. Do you think this is negative for large cap banks but positive for banks, at least small banks, where the ownership and the promoter holding is scattered?
Yeah, I mean, very clearly, only if you have a promoter holding which is, of course, greater than 10%, you actually benefit because the voting rights are now capped at 26%. But there are actually very few banks where the promoter holding is greater than 10%. Like, for example, your banks like Kotak, Yes Bank. So all these banks would definitely benefit it. Otherwise, it's broadly, I think yet the parliament needs to approve it. So it's just a pretty initial stage where the cabinet has approved. So we still need to wait for the parliament approval for this particular thing.
But what is your sense in the near term, which banks or smaller banks, as you said, would stand to benefit most out of the banking bill? Any particular names that you're currently bullish on, and do you think that they would attract indeed private investment?
No, see, the problem very clearly is that RBI has said that over a period of time the promoter holding is expected to come down to 10%. That's what they have given. For example, banks like DCB, where the promoter holding is relatively high, they have talked about it coming down to 10%. So in that sense, having a 26% cap is meaningless to them because anyways the promoter holding is going to come down. So considering what has been RBI stance, I don't think that this particular amendment is something which is going to help the existing banks in a very big way. What could happen is that this, of course, paves the way for new banking licenses because this particular act has more implications for new bank licenses than for existing banks, in my view.
Suresh, what about smaller banks and mid-cap private banks where the promoter ownership is scattered? Do you see we could see serious M&A activity in that group, let's say something like a Dhanlakshmi Bank or Karnataka Bank or for that matter Karur Vysya Bank?
No, I don't think M&A is anyways related to the voting rights. If you look at the kind of acquisition which has happened, for example, Bank of Rajasthan, which is also a small private sector bank, old private sector bank, where the promoter had more than 40-50% stake, the acquisition did happen, right? So it was nothing to do with voting rights. I don't think M&A activity is anyways related to voting rights.